Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we are continuing our ranking of the Doctor Who seasons and series from classic and modern Doctor Who, from worst to best. And we are in the top 20 now, at number 19 on my list, which is season 14. Of course, this is the final season of the Hinchcliffe era and Tom Baker's third season. Now, people might be a little surprised that this isn't higher on the list. And it's because there's really only two masterpieces of this season for me. I don't hate any stories from this season, but only two that are like masterpiece class. One of those is, of course, the Talons of Wing Chiang. I love Talons. It is a masterpiece, and I think Tom Baker's best season finale. I absolutely love the story. I love the story. I love the camera work. I love the acting. I love everything about this story. I think the guy playing Chang does a really good job as an actor. He's very convincing in the role. He treats the role with reverence and respect. And I love, and I'd never noticed this until someone pointed it out to me, that when Chang is on stage, he talks very much in that Fu Manchu voice with the broken English, but when he's off stage and he's actually talking, he talks more proper English, which tells you his stage persona is more of a show he puts on, and where he talks more proper English when he's off stage. I had never noticed that, and I really thought it was neat when it was pointed out to me. I love the scene when he's performing on stage and he's basically challenging the Doctor with the card trick, and the Doctor just pulls the card closer like he's daring him to shoot him. I just love the kind of mental face-off going on between them in that scene. It's really good. The effects are pretty good. The updated effects on the box set are also pretty good. I enjoy everything about that story. Leela has a lot to do. I love the nighttime shooting. I love the sewer work where they're shooting in the sewer. The rat's a little naff, but not much. The CGI rat is a bit of an improvement. Still a little naff, but it's fine. I love the character of Grill, or Grell, what Magnus Grell or Grill, however you say it. I really like him. I'm glad they didn't just make him the Master, because I know originally they were thinking about using the Master. I'm glad they didn't. I like him and his story about how he's kind of a renegade from the future that time traveled back, but his version of time travel is flawed, and that's what scars him. I mean, that scene when the mask comes off and you see his face, that's really good makeup, especially for classic Who. How it looks all melted and waxy. That is a very impressive piece of makeup. And the way they do his hands is creepy looking too. I really enjoy that. And I like how he gets his comeuppance at the end. That's very poetic, I think. I really enjoy the story, and the fact that, you know, some people die in the story. The Doctor can't save everybody, and plus there's Jago and Lightfoot, and they are great. Both of the actors playing them are fantastic, which the guy playing Jago is actually in other episodes as well, including in Modern Who. He's in The Unicorn and the Wasp. But they are great. I can understand why they had their own spin-off adventures in Big Finish, because they are such a great duo, and I'm glad we got to see more of their characters fleshed out. I enjoyed some of that. The Rock of Gibraltar, sir. Come on, Rock of Gibraltar. And I love Tom Baker's outfit in this. That Sherlock Holmes outfit of his is fantastic. I'm glad they used that for the season 14 cover. That is a sharp-looking outfit. Talent is so good. It is so good. I can understand why it constantly ranks top 10 when people are ranking Doctor Who stories. It's constantly in the top 10. It deserves to be. It is a phenomenal piece of writing. Once again, Robert Holmes. Robert Holmes, the best writer Doctor Who ever had. It's just a masterpiece of the Doctor Who and a masterpiece of television. The other one on the list that I consider a masterpiece might surprise some people. It's Face of Evil. I love Face of Evil. Has a couple little nitpicks, like the actual face in the mountain wall looks a little cheap and cheesy. I don't really care for the design of the actual face. And then the guys who live in there, who are waiting for the Doctor to come back, their outfits don't impress me. But the rest of it I love. I love the story itself. I love the humor. I love the Doctor and Leela meeting and the little rapport they build, with him asking, would you like a jelly baby? That could be my very favorite, would you like a jelly baby, that Tom Baker ever does. I love that one. They said he eats babies. The evil one. Well, I do think that's stretching it quite. And when he gets the arrow shot at him, that's either a really good shot or a really bad one. Now, let him go or I'll kill him with this deadly jelly baby. I love all of that. I like the one guy who's kind of the shaman of the group. He thinks kind of a prick, but he turns out being really cool in the end and kind of helps save the day. The bald-headed one with the beard, I like him. The actor does a good job with him. The effect of the computer when it looks like Tom Baker, when it projects itself as Tom Baker's face, that's a pretty cool effect, especially for like the 70s. The way it looks with its... I love that look on its face. That's a pretty neat effect I like. I really like the face of evil. It's a great introduction for Leela. I like the fact Leela will kill people too. That's just how she's raised. The Janice Thorns, no more Janice Thorns, ever. And how she just, what I had to do, he was going to kill you, so I killed him first. I really like Leela. She's one of my favorite companions. Louis does such a good job with her. And I like how the Doctor kind of takes a mentor role with her. I enjoyed that. It's such a good story. Those are my top two favorites. I can just rewatch those all the time. I like Mask of Mandragora. I think the ending is a little weak. I do think it ends a little abruptly, and I don't understand how when the one guy is shooting Tom Baker, he just shoots him in the chest. I mean, if the chest doesn't work, if it's not working, I think I'd just try to hit him in the head or the foot. I don't know. I like the story. It's got some good humor in it. You can't count. I love that. And I love that scene when the Doctor is facing down the Count, and he's like, can you see the future? Sometimes. Can you tell me my future? No. Why not? Because you don't have a future. Not if you don't listen to me. Tom Baker had a serious face on. I love that scene. Mask of Mandragora is good. I think it's a little underrated. It just has that abrupt ending that doesn't quite work. That and Hand of Fear, you have Sarah Jane basically get hypnotized twice. And I really never like when the companions are constantly getting hypnotized and all that. And I feel like Sarah deserved a little better for her final two stories. Although I do like the fact she asked the question of how come she can understand what people are saying in other languages, because the classic series doesn't really address that much. Even here, Tom Baker's like, that's just a gift I allow you. Why, they go to other planets, they can understand the language easily, and if they're speaking French, they can understand. I like that it does touch upon that a little in this episode. Hand of Fear is really good, except for it falls apart in episode 4. Now, I like the very ending scene when Sarah leaves the TARDIS. When she departs, that's a beautiful scene. And I know Tom and Elizabeth wrote a lot of that scene themselves. It's very well done. But most of episode 4 falls apart. I love the first 3 parts, but episode 4, the most important episode, doesn't stick the landing. Part of it, I don't like the male Eldrad, because as much as I think it's Stephen Thorne is his name, playing the character, as I mentioned before, when I hear his voice, I know immediately that's the same guy who does Omega. To me, that's Omega's voice. So when I hear someone else doing it, it kind of takes me out of it. I have the same problem with the Daemons, because he voices the main demon in the Daemons. And it kind of pulls me out of it. Plus that scene at the end where he trips over the scarf and falls down in the hole, that's choreographed terribly. I'm supposed to trip and fall here. If they had just kept the female Eldrad the whole time, I would have liked that better. Having him, when it's obviously Omega, pulls me out of it. And have that really awkward tripping over the scarf pulls me out of it. Although I do love that bit at the end when you find out all the rock people chose death over than risk him coming back, that all hail King Eldrad, ruler of nothing. I love that. That's awesome. But yeah, the 4th episode, aside from the companion departure, just lets it down a little. And then we have Deadly Assassin, which I think is vastly overrated. Deadly Assassin by itself is great. Like in a bubble, Deadly Assassin by itself is good. I loved it. My best friend used to watch a little modern Doctor Who with me, and I tried to show him Classic Who once. And Deadly Assassin was the story I picked. He didn't really get into it. Modern Who he can handle. He doesn't really do Classic Who. And on its own, it's fine. It's when you start thinking about the ramifications of Deadly Assassin and what it does to the lore and what it does to the series and what it does to the Time Lords, that's where it becomes problematic for me. It really is the story that I think ruined the Time Lords, and I think they never recovered from it. When they're wearing their seldom worn ceremonial robes, and by seldom worn, I mean Every single time you see them from now into eternity, still in 2022, they're going to be wearing these god-awful gaudy outfits. And that, the fact, the Time Lords always seemed more regal, more like gods, more like higher up, a higher power types. You know, the types who could put an entire force field around a planet with a blink of an eye, or could fade people out of an existence with a look on their face. Turns them into squabbling politicians talking about, my hip's giving me a little trouble. They're humans. They're humans. Honestly, listening to them talk, they sound just like an American Congress, which is not a compliment to the Time Lords in this story, I assure you. So yeah, you know, you got Runcible, the reporter, who seems weaselly, and that and the Time Lords aren't very smart. They get killed very easily in this story. I feel like I'm watching a bunch of humans. Like one of the guys in the making of video on the DVD for this, you know, I think he's part of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society. He says, you know, they're humans. I agree, they're humans. The Time Lords have never regained the regalness they had before since this story. It ruined the Time Lords. I don't mind it adding the limitation to the regenerations. I'm fine with that. But just what it does to the Time Lords irks me. Although I do like the Crispy Master. I don't know why they did that. They could have just regenerated him. I know Delgado had passed away. They could have just regenerated and had somebody else play the character. He's a Time Lord. He can regenerate. But instead they went with the, you know, Crispy Burnt Master. I'll never understand that choice. But as a story on its own, I like it. It's just what it does to Doctor Who as a whole, I don't like. So because of that, I'm kind of in the middle ground on it. And then Robots of Death. I think Robots of Death is vastly overrated. I know it's kind of an Agatha Christie style murder mystery, but I like Robots of Death, but it's not because of the story. I've talked about this before. I like Robots of Death because of the way it is executed on screen. I love a lot of the design choices. The director should be heavily complimented. I don't know if the director for Robots of Death, because I can't remember who directed it right off the top of my head. I don't know what else they did in Doctor Who, but they made a lot of good decisions. One, the robot design is the best robot design classic who ever did. It's so good that it stands the test of time. These robots could show back up in the modern series and they would not feel dated. That is a good design. Most robot designs in classic Who do look dated, understandably. Like the K1 robot in Robot. You know, it's kind of laughably silly as much as I love Robot. These have aged very well. There's a really creative design. It's the same thing with the set of the ship. It doesn't look like most Doctor Who's, you know, classic Doctor Who's idea of a future spaceship or, you know, drilling thing or something like that. You know, like a lot of them do, like say, you know, the Ark and the Ark in Space, where you can look at it and go, oh, this is kind of dated looking. Instead, it goes for this kind of Renaissance look. Like, obviously, these people are having to do a rough job drilling on this planet. Why not give them a little luxury? You know, with the wood paneling. You almost feel like you're in a luxury hotel or on a luxury cruise. Again, that keeps the episode from looking dated. It really, you could plot them right back in that set in Modern Who and it would work. And I really like that. That is the strong points of the story for me. I think the actors do a fine job, too. I do. I mean, the actors are fine. The story itself is weak to me. I don't really care for it. The one guy being terrified of robots when he finds the blood on one hand and being just, why? The whole subplot with him goes nowhere. The guy at the end being nuts because he's raised by robots and being a murderer, and then he dresses like robots. I get that he dresses like robots because he bonkers, nutso. I get that. But I don't feel invested in the story. I never do. I like at the end how the Doctor uses the helium to where, you know, the main mastermind's voice goes up so he can't control the robots anymore and it gets him killed. I love that. That's creative. I like that. And I love the Doctor calling Leela Mouse. Come on, Mouse. I enjoy the story, but I enjoy Robots of Death. But the actual story for it doesn't really do much for me. It's more the design choices and a few of the story plots. I do like the one robot that's undercover. And again, I like some of the dialogue. That's the one where the Doctor tells the guy, you know, you're in a perfect example of the inverse ratio of the size of the brain and the size of the mouth. I love that line. I love that line. Oh, the Fourth Doctor with some digs. I enjoy that. So, yeah, I like Robots of Death, but I think the actual story of it is vastly overrated. And that is the reason why 14 is here and not higher, because I love Talons, I love Face of Evil. I think Mandragora is good, but with a weak ending. I think Hand of Fear is good with a very weak ending. And I think Deadly Assassin is overrated, and what it does to the lore and the Time Lords is inexcusable. And I think Robots of Death is vastly overrated with a story that I find uninteresting, but I love the set design and the robot design and some of the dialogue. So that's why season 14 is here and not higher. I'd like to know what you think of season 14 and the stories in it. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do while I have you here, go ahead and click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. Plus all that other fun stuff down in the descriptions. A link to my Patreon is down there. A link to my Amazon wish list is down there. And my P.O. box is down there as well if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Crane, one of my top tier patrons. I appreciate his support as I do the support of all of my patrons. And most importantly, thank you for watching.